When considering the ethics with respect to the user's interactions with a specific piece of technology, there are several factors that should be considered, including what level of technical knowledge does the average consumer possess, as well as what is the main problem that the technology is trying to solve for the consumer. An effective way of rating technology is to evaluate its affordances. Donald Norman defines affordances as manipulations and operations that can be performed on a particular object. In other words, affordances refer to the usability of a product as perceived by the consumer. This report will present examples of technology with effective and ineffective designs.
One example of good affordances that we found just around campus is the basic recycling and waste system with the 3 basic bins. There are 3 individual tops that help to guide the user into which bin to use for their particular waste. The normal trash bin only has a trash can visible, so I mean right there you know to put trash in the can. For the beverage containers, the lid has 2 cylindrical holes in it. Obviously you're not going to put something square or paper like in there, so you put the bottle right in the hole. It's the perfect size for standard bottle of any kind of sort. Moving on to the paper container, it's a long thin slot, which actually normal bottles don't even fit into this. I mean, if you tried to put one in, it wouldn't even work. And as you can see, I mean, anyone coming by would know exactly how to use this type of thing. So as you can see, this is a pretty effective system overall. Again, trash can, plastic and glass bottles, which is again a nice feature. You don't have to waste time figuring out which bin to put glass or plastic in. They made it convenient. You can put either in this bin. And the paper one, as I said again, nice slotted, bottles don't go in it. They've obviously considered, and when I say they, I mean the designers of these 3 containers, considered the consumer in their design. They considered, the basic knowledge of any consumer walking by and using these pieces of technology. But they've also fail-safe themselves. Above every canister is, a convenient sign. Non-recyclable waste, beverage containers, and mixed office paper and newspaper. So this is a well thought out design and piece of technology.
Alright, so an example of bad affordances is my car radio. It interfaces with my iPod, so I can just plug it into this plug here, just like this, and in a couple seconds it plays music. Now it just happens that this is the last song I was listening to. It was a song by Dream Theater. So I start driving, I'm listening to it, and then it plays the next track, which I'll skip for you. Now it's playing the next track, and it wants to play after that. Since that last track was the very last track on that particular album, it does not repeat. In fact, it plays the very first song on the iPod. If I press back to go back to where I was just by instinct, it plays the last song on my iPod. So now I have to go all the way back through artists, find Dream Theater again, which is right there, go back to where I was, just like right there, and now it's playing Dream Theater again. So I see this little repeat button right here, and I decide to press it. It says repeat track. Okay, that makes sense. I want to press repeat again to get it to repeat the artist or repeat the album or something like that. So I press repeat again, and it started at the very first song by the artist. But I didn't want to listen to that. Now I have to go all the way back, and instead of going through my artist, I have to actually go all the way back, find the artist again, and then find the particular song I was listening to with repeat mode on. I was right about here. And I notice, you can't see it here, but because I turned that setting off, repeat mode is actually turned off, so if it plays through all these songs again, it won't repeat for me. So in other words, it makes it very difficult to use the iPod because the repeat setting doesn't make any sense.
Affordance is a technical term that refers to properties of objects. Perceived affordances is the user perception of how the device works.
An example of a bad affordance is one from our first DFA, the newspaper dispenser.
The instructions shown on the machine obviously show that this machine actually has a bad affordance because it requires directions to operate.
The problem with these machines is that students are trying to access newspapers by simply sliding their Penn State student ID into the slot, but nobody ever can open up the machine. I have never witnessed anybody even come close to getting the machine open.
The handicap button is a good affordance.
As you can see, the handicap button requires no instructions. It's simplistic in design and is round and flat, which instructs the user to push the button.
In conclusion, we have listed examples of both effective and ineffective technology from the user's viewpoint. We made distinctions between ethical and unethical designs based on the criteria of good affordances, or the operations of an object as perceived by the consumer. If the design is ethical, the user should need little instruction to operate the technology. In other words, a user's experience with a piece of technology is a direct way to rate the piece of technology as far as effective or ineffective. In